If you grew up evangelical, chances are you heard this verse used to support a secret rapture. Then two will be in the field, one will be taken and one will be left. Two women will be grinding meal together, one will be taken and one will be left. Keep awake therefore, for you do not know on what day. Matthew 24:40-42. Sounds pretty scary, right? So make sure you aren't left behind. But if you've heard that verse used that way, you've heard it way out of context. Because in context, you do not want to be the one taken. You want to be the one left behind. What? So let's do this thing and knock out that confusion and cognitive dissonance, okay? So Matthew 24:40-42, yes, it is about one being taken and one being left. And this discourse is mirrored in Luke 17:37, which adds, two people will be in one bed, one will be taken and the other left. Now, put a pin in this Luke 17 thing because we're going to circle back to it. Because in Luke 17, what happens to those taken is actually revealed. And because of this, it's not used as often as Matthew 24:40-42 in support of a rapture. But we'll get there. Now, these verses are part of the Olivet Discourse, where in Matthew, Mark, and Luke, Jesus is on the Mount of Olives. He's talking with his disciples about the coming destruction of Jerusalem, signs of the end of the age, the second coming, and the need to be ready because destruction is coming quick. This discourse is a big moment. And yes, when the verses are yanked out of context to what everything else Jesus is saying, can be used by someone to impose this idea of a secret rapture of the church. But in context and historically, it's not about that at all. It's about the opposite. And when we read all of Matthew 24, in Matthew 24:3, we see the disciples are asking about the signs of the end of the age. And so Jesus tells them a few things. And Jesus using some powerful language. And then we get to Matthew 24:37. For as in the days of Noah were, so will be the coming of the Son of Man. For as in the days before the flood, they were eating and drinking, marrying and giving in marriage, until the day Noah entered the ark. And they knew nothing till the flood came and swept them all away. So too will be the coming of the Son of Man. Then he talks about the two that will be in the field doing this, the one will be taken, yada, yada. And when reading these verses in context, what Jesus is actually talking about here is judgment. And we have to pay attention to the context, again, of what Jesus is saying, especially in mentioning as in the days of Noah, meaning he's referencing Noah's flood, correct? Right. And what happened to the ones who were taken by the flood? The ones who are taken are destroyed. The ones that are taken are the unrighteous. They were living their own lives, partying it up, when boom, swift judgment comes. That's what these verses are about. Additionally, when reading Luke 17 in context, it spells this out definitively, which is why it's not used as often as Matthew 24:40-42 by secret rapture supporters. Because in Luke 17, the disciples ask what happens to the ones who are taken. And Jesus says, where the corpse is, there the vultures will gather. Now, I don't know about you, but that doesn't sound like the ones who are taken are the ones who are on the right side of things. It wasn't until the 19th century that some Christian sects and denominations started teaching the opposite, with the imposition of a secret rapture idea upon the text. And if you need additional references online for this, they are all over the place. The Blue Letter Bible Online provides some amazing resources and arguments, as well as a great breakdown as the word translated as taken, paralambano, which provides additional evidence that it's the ones who are taken that are facing judgment, and the ones that remain are the ones who are secure. Additionally, for those who are just really fighting this in their brain right now because they're having a hard time wrapping around this and they need a more fundamentalist viewpoint, Got Questions further supports this argument, and they even support an eventual rapture of the church. But they know context is key, and Matthew 24 does not support a rapture unless you literally take out what Jesus says right before it and completely ignore Luke 17. So while Matthew 24 is definitely about the end of the age and the second coming, it's not about being taken away in a secret rapture. And if you need further evidence of this, if we look at Matthew 25:41-46, we find Jesus talking about the sheep and goats, where the unrighteous are taken, while the righteous are left behind on the earth to inherit their eternal reward. So the ones who are taken, well, let's just say according to Jesus, in Jesus's words, in historical context, and in the context he's offering with his callback to Noah and what he additionally says in Luke 17 and Matthew 25, 41 through 46, you do not want to be the one who is taken. You are the one who wants to remain, because you are the one who will inherit the earth, while the one who is taken faces destruction. Context. I really wish it was taught more, but then people wouldn't be able to twist you up and implant fear-based theology into you, would they? But remember, if you're afraid, there's no fear in love. And perfect love casts out all fear. Just a thought. God bless. You are loved. See you soon.